Welcome to This Explainer, brought to you by Forge College. I'm your host, and today we're making a pretty exciting pivot. In our last explainer, we took a really high-level look at Solana's security architecture. But today, we are rolling up our sleeves and heading right back to Ethereum. For our lesson, reviewing the HelloWorld contract, we're taking literally the most famous code snippet in the world and tearing it down like an engineering schematic to see exactly how we can enhance it without completely breaking it.
So, how do you turn a basic contract into a secure machine? To wrap our heads around this, I want you to imagine a smart contract as a mechanical vending machine just sitting out in the middle of a crowded street. It holds valuable items, it takes instructions, and it dispenses outputs. But here's the multi-million-dollar question, right? How do we prevent random people from just wandering up, reaching right through the glass, and changing the internal prices of the candy to zero? That is exactly what we are solving today.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our blueprint anatomy for today. We'll be looking at Section 1, Dissecting Contract Anatomy, Section 2, Adding Access Control, Section 3, Efficient Error Handling, and wrapping up with Section 4, the Upgrade Workflow. Starting off with Section 1, Dissecting Contract Anatomy. Let's deconstruct this baseline machine.
Now, we've all seen a standard HelloWorld contract before, but today let's look at it as a literal engineering schematic to figure out exactly where to add safe interactivity. The absolute most critical piece of this schematic is the state variable. This is a persistent piece of data stored directly on the blockchain contract's storage. Going back to our vending machine metaphor, the state variable isn't the coin slot and it's not the buttons. It's the actual physical inventory of candy bars sitting on the shelves. It's the real, permanent data living inside your machine.
And this machine basically has 4 distinct daily jobs. First is storage, which is maintaining our persistent data. Second is initialization. This is setting up the ground rules via the constructor when the machine is first plugged in. Third is mutation, altering the state, like restocking, through setter functions. And finally, observation. This means reading data via getters and off-chain events. Emitting events is honestly a lot like a receipt printer. It creates index data logs for off-chain tools without actually changing any of your internal storage rules.
Moving right along to Section 2, Adding Access Control, or as I like to call it, the manager's key. You know, there is a classic, honestly pretty painful rookie mistake in Web3, and that's building a beautiful vending machine and then leaving the setter function completely public. Basically, anyone on the network can just rewrite your inventory data if they feel like it. No way. To fix this, Solidity gives us this really elegant solution on screen here, modifier owner only. Think of this specific code as a centralized manager's key. So before a function executes, this modifier steps in and checks if the caller is the true owner. If not, the transaction immediately reverts, and you don't have to duplicate that validation logic across all your different functions.
And this all builds into the broader concept of visibility. Public exposes your state or functions to any caller anywhere. The compiler even generates getters for you. It's exactly like letting anyone peek right through the front glass to see what's inside the machine. Private, or internal, on the other hand, is strictly for internal bookkeeping. That's the hidden stuff. The internal coin counters, the gears, the mechanisms behind the metal panels that the public strictly does not need to interact with or see. Which brings us to Section 3, Efficient Error Handling. Time for diagnosing machine failures.
When our smart machine inevitably encounters an issue, let's say someone tries to pry open the back door, it needs to throw an error. But in Web3, complaining is literally expensive. Paying real-world, high gas fees just to output long, wordy error messages really hurts. And this brilliantly illustrates our 2 main options. The require statement checks a condition and reverts with a readable string. It's great for input validation and debugging, but text strings cost precious gas. Alternatively, the custom error reverts with a super compact name, like not owner. This is absolutely perfect for repeated production checks because it saves a massive amount of gas.
And finally, Section 4, the Upgrade Workflow. Let's look at the assembly line.
I want you to think of this next part as our assembly line. It's an actionable, step-by-step checklist to safely upgrade and extend our baseline contract. Step 1, identify your specific state needs. Step 2, choose explicit types in storage because remember, writes are expensive. Step 3, define your visibility and mutability rules right at the function signature. Step 4, add validation and error handling before any state changes occur. Step 5, emit informative events so off-chain apps know what happened. And Step 6, write focus tests. Memorizing this exact progression will massively lower your cognitive load.
And here is the golden rule of our assembly line. Iterate small and redeploy your test artifacts using tools like Remix, Hardhat, or Foundry. Seriously, you should always use these test harnesses to verify your deployment time arguments and check your events long before you ever consider pushing anything to a mainnet.
So, just to quickly summarize our mechanical blueprint tour today, clearly separate your storage from your behavior. Centralize your access checks to make your security intent totally explicit. And finally, prefer concise error signaling to maximize your gas efficiency. These principles are the exact foundation you're going to need as we continue enhancing basic Solidity contracts in our upcoming guided projects.
So, what does this all mean for you? Are you ready to build your decentralized machine? We've gone over the schematics, secured the vulnerabilities, and mapped out a proven assembly line. This explainer was brought to you by Forge College, and it's a key part of our practical Solidity projects, HelloWorld Revisited module, right inside the Solidity and Ethereum quests. If you want to dive deeper and really master these Web3 topics, absolutely make sure to visit Forge College to learn more. I'm your host, keep experimenting, and I'll see you in the next one.